All right, so this is a cow heart. And I'm gonna turn it around so that you get a good view. And I'm just laughing because I know that it looks like a bunch of mushy tissue, but we can actually tell apart what these structures are. So when I look at the heart, the pointy part down here, the apex, that means this is where the ventricles are. And then the top part is going to be the atrium, and they have those little flaps on them, the auricles. So if you can see, like they really are a flap-like structure that kind of differs from the rest of the heart. And then there's the one on the other side. And then all the vessels come out of the top of the heart, unlike our heart box where we drew some coming out of the bottom. So now let's try to figure out what some of these things are. When I squeeze the heart, I feel a difference in the ventricles. So when I squeeze, can you see that? Yeah, when I squeeze that side right there, that's really hard. That's the left ventricle. This side over here is the right ventricle because it's not as hard. So this is the left ventricle, which makes this the left atrium, like this upper part right here. And then what valve should be going, or what vessel should be going into the left atrium is the pulmonary valve. So if you guys can see that, we figured out that this was the left ventricle, which told me this has to be the left atrium. And then I found a vessel that's going into the left atrium. And I don't know if you can tell, but like I'm actually sticking my finger in this, like my finger is all the way through here. So now I'm going to take out my finger and I'm going to replace it with a pencil so that we have our pulmonary vein marked in place. And then over here, this was my right ventricle, which means this is going to be the auricle of the right atrium. That also makes sense because this is smaller. So here's the left one a little bit larger. Here's the right one smaller. And then if we look at this, we should be able to find a vessel going into it. So I'm sticking my finger in and I'm seeing if I end up in the right spot, basically. And there we go. I think I've got it. So there's the hole. I'm sticking my finger in it and then I'm wiggling it like right here. So this is where my finger is. So that is going to be the vena cava coming from the rest of the body and dumping into the heart. So we're sticking the pencil in and it's poking right here. That's how we know we correctly identified it. Something else when I look at the pulmonary vein and the vena cava, those are both veins and they have thinner walls than arteries do. Like if we look at this, well here, this one that we haven't talked about yet, that's the aorta. Like it's a massive thick circle. And then here is our vena cava. Like, do you guys see how that's thin? That's another way that we're going to be able to tell them apart. And the pulmonary vein over here is thin as well. Okay, I already said this is the aorta, and there are like 3 separate arteries that all converge onto the aorta. And the aorta is going to connect to the left ventricle. So right now I'm pushing it down, but I'm getting stuck a little bit on the valve in there. That's its general position. So that is my aorta one. And can you see right next to it, there's these 2 other holes right here? Not really, I'm not getting a good picture of that. Okay, that's a little bit better. So that hole, and that hole all connect into and dump into the aorta. Well, take blood out of the aorta to the rest of the body. So that's weird, right? Our left ventricle is going to push and the blood is going to spurt up through the aorta and out to the rest of the body. Okay, now we are just missing our pulmonary artery. And I'm looking for a thick structure. There it is. I know that it should be a thick structure because arteries are bigger than veins because they pump more blood. You see that hole in there? And it has thicker walls than the other ones? So that is the pulmonary artery. Let's see if we can get it where you guys can see it all in one.